On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, the Lilim Harlot rerun happened already. It's starting. I just threw it on out there. Also, a little bit of lead up on the new story chapters in JP. All that and some more on this week's Let's Talk FGO. I'm one of your hosts, Omega. With me as always is Lucky. I thought about trying to do some kind of intro joke around Saros, but it would have just been either really generic or really obscure, and only I would have got it, so I decided to skip it.
Yeah, I got nothing with that, so I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka The After Story Continues. And while we here at Studio Maker likes to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events with the JP and EA versions of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers, try and focus on these reruns.
Oh, yeah? I'm not focused on the rerun yet, but that's for reasons that'll become clear in a second. But first, we'd like to say this episode is brought to you by all of our wonderful, beautiful listeners, but especially our patrons. Thank you, patrons. More on that later, but if you ever hear us referring to them, they're listening. Well, some of them, anyway. The higher level patrons are listening live right now as we record this. So, keep that in mind. I did do a point and a wink, by the way. You could have assumed that, but I wanted to let everybody know it happened. Alright. Let us then move on to checking in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because it is time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, or for pro tips. I had a long, hard think about the pro tip today, and all I could come up with was, I have said it before, and I will definitely say it again, but just a reminder to every so often go through and clear up your rank ups and your interludes. We are technically in a interlude phase, I think, right now, with some unlocked, because the interlude campaign's technically still ongoing. And don't forget about your brand new free quests, because those all do have, permanent missions associated with them, and those only keep growing. I wrote going, but I think growing is grammatically better. There are, further and further tiers to get more and more Saint Courts out of it, so, make sure to check in every once in a while. Now, you may be wondering, chat, people at home, boys and girls of all ages, why was I thinking about that? Well, the chickens have come home to roost. We're going too. Not all is evil, but damn close. Hey, hi, it's me. Hey, gang, how you doing? We've been sitting on it. We've been waiting for Draco to come back. So many times people have been just like, oh yeah, this quest's easy to clear, just use Draco, and I'm just like, Dinkelberg. But, unfortunately, we had really great luck in the start of the year, blew all the reserves on Monte Cristo for nothing. Fuck all. One Cagliostro. Fuck him. And, so far no luck on Draco. That's why we're in Evils. Had about 120 Saint Courts, 4 11 spins. Saved up, and a decent chunk of tickets from all the events and stuff. Gone through all that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Terrible, awful, no good rolls. There was a min roll in there, and then there was another roll that was just before the min roll that was like 5 4-star CEs, which is terrible when you're, speed ganging it. So we're not completely tapped out. There are many rank ups. Well, not many, but I've got another block of rank ups and, the brand new free quests and stuff to mine. But it's not looking so good. And that's after, 5-hour maintenance. Why was it 5 hours? I don't know. So that's been me, all day today. Working on another rank up right now. But, with that out of the way, let me readjust my seating position. Get a little closer into the microphone. But, with that then out of the way, let us move on to, did you finish your master missions? To complete your master missions this week, you need to defeat 5 servants, then defeat 10 servants, defeat 3 servants with the Earth attribute, perform 30 FP summons, and acquire 2 skill gems or statues, and then 4 skill gems or statues. You can, of course, accomplish most of this by doing the event rerun that just started. Also, if you were doing the interlude campaign that was ongoing, and technically is still ongoing for a couple of days before the rerun started, that also works pretty good. The only thing out there is to remember that, yes, you do have to do 30 FP summons. And if you are saving your FP for any reason, I do believe if you do the daily free, it defaults you to the 100 FP rolls, so do watch out for that. Or don't, because, you can do 100 FP rolls easy. I just didn't do it because I didn't want a lot of extra stuff, because I have a lot of EXPs I don't have anything to do with right now. They keep giving me EXPs, and never when I need them. But that will then take us through all of our little intro segments, and firmly into Skelograms, where something has happened, kind of. more like an announcement of a happening. But yes, as you can see from the thumbnail and the bed image of the video, number 1, there is a brand new key visual for the new chapter. The next story sequence still doesn't have a name, so everything's just calling it the new chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have the new key visual. It's pretty trippy. There's some pillars. They're full of goop. There's some clock gears. There's a clock face. There's no pointers for the clock. No hands to indicate. But yeah, there's some goo in the pillars, and they look like eyes. And that will be coming out still on schedule for the next bit to release in June. And they did clarify that in order to participate in the new story event, you will need to not only have cleared the prologue before the aftertime, but also have completed at least 2 grand duels, which are not necessarily locked to any particular story clearance, I think, other than, like, do you even have to, I think you gotta finish the Lost Belts. Some of them have, like, differing layers of clearance, but they are not specifically needing you to be caught up on story, but you gotta do them. And this is an interesting one, because obviously, this is a pretty cool visual. It's pretty neat. But, okay, you have to clear the audio call prologue for them. That's pretty easy, because that's just, right after Lost World 7. But, yeah, the new chapter release is pretty interesting. That's, pretty good news out of FGO. It's been not all quiet. Obviously, events have been, firing off. There was a lot of discussion about, the Double Secret collab in previous weeks, but other than that, and some of the delays and things, generally, FGO's been trucking along. Some people I have seen on the internet, yes, that are I don't want to say worried. Some people are worried about it, but there seems to be a general trend in thought that people are like, they see 7 pillars and they're like, oh boy, here we go again, another 7-part story. It's part 3.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I won't put that past FGO, right? Like, it does make a lot of money. It's very successful for an old game. Lucky and I have talked a lot about how much we want an FGO 2, because the game is also very old and it's fucking ancient. It needs some updates that they probably can't do just with the, in the Unity source code they've got. No. Like, they need to probably build it up from the ground up. I like I said, it's still very profitable despite, the story being conclusively finished for part 2 and possibly for overall. Because the aftertime stuff, the before the aftertime seems to be kind of, pre-post-script, post-prescript, something like that. It's timey-wimey. That's why there's a clock involved, obviously. But like I said, despite all that state, the game is still profitable, and that's very impressive for a old-school Japanese gacha game. So, like I said, I wouldn't put it past them to just kind of continue as they were, but I don't think inherently just because we see 7 goop pillars, this is another, big release 7-part story. Because the interesting thing to me is that this seems to be keyed off of clearing grand duels, and while there are, in fact, actually 8 grand duels, not 7, there were originally only supposed to be 7. We added the extra one, the extra slot through shenaniganery, which honestly, based on how these things have previously gone, somebody probably is upset about. But yeah, so like I said, I don't want to, especially after didn't think at all about Double Secret collab. You had some sort of fake and then real collab. Can't believe that one slipped me by. Just wasn't thinking about it. Head wasn't in the game. So like I said, I don't want to say that this isn't, part 3, 7 story chapters, but I don't feel like it is. I assume it's numbered 7 because of the grand duels where Azrael, who appeared in the before the Aftertime prologue, first showed up as just a guy out of nowhere, right? We were all just like, oh shit, what's this guy doing in Grand Assassin Duel,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also pretty sure that, based on the translations, obviously, but I feel like people framed what we know of the prologue for Before the Aftertime as like, yes, before you finish up all your loose ends, you have 1 year to solve a great crisis. So it seemed, at the time, like an EOR, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, I don't want to put it past them that they're not doing a full, block of other story chapters, but it did not kind of seem like that. It seemed like we're, we're in a more limited story release. I do think, based on the imagery in this, a lot of people have been pointing out some thematic similarities to Abby, for instance. I'm pretty sure this includes the previously optional foreigner audio call that we never got to, for sure.
Mm.
Like, it feels like those elements are getting in here. But yeah, still exciting to see, whatever they're cooking on news-wise. And, we'll see whatever that release takes shape shortly. Now, when exactly in June this happens, we don't know. I'm pretty sure there's a block for, like, at least one more thing in JP to happen before then, because it's, like, the last few days of the Strange Fake event, like, right now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they have announced a new chapter pre-release event, right? That started the 13th. That goes until the 30th of June, so, like, that doesn't mean anything. It's like a lot of story chapter pre-releases that could truly be anywhere. That said, there are some login bonuses for some apples, some applies. There are some limited time missions to make sure you clear the Part 2 finale and the Before the After time, and also just generally have cleared any MSQ, with the exception of EOR and the 0.5 Lost Belt stories. There are permanent missions to get one Crystallized Lore and one Holy Grail to begin and complete the Part 2 finale. There's also another Leyline Stone login period, since this is a story chapter, so, we're keeping that up. That's always good to see. Also helpful, since it starts before it actually releases, if you're a little behind on story and want to get your Leyline Stones in. Let's see, yes. We've got the 0 AP on Main Story Quest has been extended all the way up to Audio Call 4, so just before Trinity Metal Tronius. The Part 2 finale will be half AP during this time period, and so will Grandule and Grandule Accessories. I believe there's also a campaign ongoing, which may have been previously ongoing, for 0 Storm Pods, since you gotta clear Grandules. And here's a fun one. Jolter Summon Banner. I think this is the first time Jolter's been on a standalone, apart from the, class campaigns they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Does this mean? Is it time? Are they coming back? Or is it just because, Jolter's one of the faces of this game? And I do want to say, if anybody thought that we ran this on, corporate greed, I would like to remind you that Mr. Nasu doesn't work that way, because we wrote Jolter out of the story. But
well, if I understand these banners correctly, I actually think they're based on the 7 singularities.
That could be. That would be very timely.
Because I remember seeing it. Sorry, yeah, because we have... Let's see here.
Sorry, I tabbed back over to our FGOJP channel for a second to check on some stuff, and I'm just like, fuck, I forgot that Google Play JP tweeted out a Mother's Day tweet about FGO.
Powerful.
Crazy. Yeah, okay. I don't see anything. So let me go back to the wiki, though.
Yeah, I'm not actually seeing anything about dates, but yeah, it says it's like for Orleans, it's John Alter and Gilda Reyes. For Okeanos, it's Drake, Medea, and David. London.
Yeah, I see the lists. Are they all up now?
I don't know.
But yeah, it looks like right now we've actually got a big block. Jolter's the headliner, of course, but we've got a big block of everybody for each story chapter, which includes several limiteds and story locks. It's also kind of funny. So yeah, Lucky started to list it. I've got the graphic pulled up too. So it's Jolter and Gilda Reyes for Orleans. Remind you that Gilda Reyes caster is blocked. Okeanos is Drake, Medea, Lily, David. Medea Lily is story locked. London, it looks like they've got 2? If I understand this graphic correctly. It could be anything. But that's Tesla, Fran, Paracelsus, and then Mordred, Lancer, Alter, Charles Babbage. E plus unum is Threve, because it's Nightingale, Rama, Geronimo, Ku Alter, Lishu, and Lancer, Billy the Kid. Forgot Lishu and Lancer was story locked, so it's... And then Maeve, Edison, Diarmid. Camelot is Lancer, Artoria, Gawain, Bedivere. Ozymandias, Nidicrus, Bedivere. Bedivere gets to be on here twice. Old Man of the Mountain, Gawain, Hassan of Serenity. Very funny, by the way, that Gramps gets to ride shotgun on Camelot. Probably because Babylonia is fucking full. Because it's... If assuming this is how this is actually supposed to be, this, they've got a special table for this on the wiki. Babylonia has 5 stars. You've got Merlin, Enkidu, Ishtar, Reshkigal, and Quetzalcoatl. And then Cascale, Medusa Lancer, Gorgon, and then Jaguar Band on all. So yeah, you got some big blobby blocky banners. I guess we'll see, because I do... these might be, like, all up, like, right now, and then they all end the 20th. JP is not afraid of, like, 9 million rate-ups.
They're really not.
No. I mean, we'll enter that phase eventually, but, like, they really were just like, fuck it, we can have as many rate-ups as we feel like. So I guess we'll see on the 20th if this Singularity-based campaign ends, and then... Oh, well, it'll be either a Lost Belt-based campaign, or it'll be an EOR campaign. It'll be a Lost Belt campaign first, and then an EOR campaign, and they can work in the 2.5 Lost Belts. Since those basically turned into mini Epic of Remnant chapters, you know, every release is just like, remember, you don't actually have to complete this, and it doesn't count for 0 AP about story. But yeah, so it is, you know, it's labeled, so it's obviously linked to Singularities, but I wonder if that has any, you know, you never, like I said, deeper cut meaning, or is just like, yeah, we decided to do the Singularities again. We will wait with bated breath, just as you will, chat, and we'll let you know when we know stuff.
How exciting.
It is kind of exciting. Like I said, I saw some people who were like, not quite negative about it, but they did kind of feel like they were going for like an, oh boy, here we go again kind of a thing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Some of that I think is still the crew that's just like, Nasu, please, Tsukihime remake back half. Which I kind of understand, because, you know, it's the thing where, like, they're like, we're remaking Tsukihime, and then he produces remake of Tsukihime, and he's like, by the way, this is only half the remake. I'll be back later with the other half, and then he's just hasn't come back yet with the bread. He hasn't found the milk and cigarettes yet. That, I don't... Just because he says he has, like, ideas for, like... Sorry, I was gonna say a ludicrous number like 4, but I'm like... I'm also not sure that's not correct. Just because Nasu has ideas for sequels and says he can work on sequels for Mahoyo doesn't mean that he promised them, you know, like they didn't have release dates blocked in or anything.
This is the thing about Nasu. I think he has too many ideas and not enough hands.
I definitely feel like he doesn't have enough hands. I always feel like... Good?
I don't want to ever feel the same, like he's being forced to work on FGO. I just feel like he always has ideas and he wants to do stuff with them. And so, just Nasu and his team, they're only, you know, one people's.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like, obviously people have comments about, you know, they feel like, you know, Nasu's forced to make FGO. I don't think that's correct, because what I was going to say is, I feel like there have been several times where Nasu says he's stepping away from FGO, or he's taking a break from writing for FGO, and then obviously, you know, there are a lot of collaborators with Type Moon. The problem is, he keeps coming back. He keeps showing back up with another, you know, wheelbarrow full of printer paper. And it's like, didn't you say you stopped? He may actually be done after, you know, the Cosmos and the Lost Belt, you know, the complete part 2. I'm sure we'll find out between the... Oh, sorry, excuse me. Very bad burp. Ugh. Anyway, derailed my train of thought there a little. But I was gonna say, after the June story chapter release, and then obviously the anniversary, which will come with I'm sure, a usual slew of magazine interviews, right? I'm sure we'll find out for reals if he's actually stepping away.
Like I said, the story chapter will probably give some idea of the direction that FGO is going. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
We will. It will for sure. I feel like it'll be confirmed in you know, this chapter one way or another. I think if we've got 7, if only because I'm sure somebody will say you've got to defeat 7 thingies. But you know, who knows? I personally, like I said, I read today when I wrote the notes that it requires grand duels cleared, and I'm like, well, originally they were supposed to only be 7 grands. And we didn't actually meet all... Thank you, Lucky. We didn't actually meet all 7 grands in story. Like, obviously with the release of you know, Logres and the events in which she was summoned, pretty sure that was always supposed to be Grand Saber, but we never actually did that. And then I think Grand Berserker was weird because like that was technically Tezcatlipoca, but also he was all basically Grand Assassin because they needed somebody to fill in for Gramps. Who knows? Maybe we'll finally unpack that in this if the Angel of Death's rattling around. But yeah, we of course shall see. All right, Chad, you're gonna forgive me a second. Hold on, because That's not all of our news. I did talk about it earlier, but Fate Grand Order Arcade X, Fate Grand Order Collaboration Event Revival, Spiral Proof World, Lilim Harlot, arose without ovation. They added only one word to that. It was always that long. Anyway, it's the Lilim Harlot Arcade Collab rerun. Started the 15th, which was, in fact, today, because it was, like I said earlier, it was like a 5-hour maintenance. Ends the 4th of June. And I think the Yuki and Asura event is, they said early June, so it should be like right after this.
We have no breaks.
What the roadmap said? Well, you know, we gotta worry about that, their anniversary early, so
yeah,
we always gotta schmoove. Definitely think that like a lot of people were expecting, you know, the interlude campaign to take a full week, and FGO was like, no,
speed,
no. I was definitely thinking there was a little bit more time to work on this. these not reruns, these Saint Quartzes for rank ups and stuff. But we're here. This is once again the same as the first, but they did specify once again, just like Kaldea Summer Adventure, if you got the Grail already, you can get another Grail. So you do at least have the incentive to finish up the story. If you either finish it early or you have no interest in finishing it, you do have Bleached Earth Quest as half AP during this time as well, so you can keep your grind set going on that one. There will be, of course, a login campaign for apples, and spoiler warning, there'll be another one after that, and then another one after that. They only show you, like, 7 days at a time, but it's actually, like, all 3 weeks. But also, you already know it happened because I rolled on it, but there is a Draco Locusta banner up, plus CEs. I'm fairly certain we also will have a, even though, you know, she was the pre-release before, we'll have a Tiamat banner after this. And also, I'm going to go ahead and lock it in, guys. There'll be some kind of free quest support banner. I have absolutely no idea who that is. And maybe another AoE alter ego? Because there's not really another class that does the same spread as Draco.
Oh, really?
Like, obviously,
let's
you know,
be
Pretender is, Pretender, but yeah, I don't want
Let's be real. The only reason that people voted on these two reruns is A, they want the lotto from they wanted the treasure chest from Da Vinci Summer, and B, they wanted the Draco rerun from Lilim Harlot.
Yeah.
So
specifically, I think people wanted the Lilim Harlot Draco rerun because she's not in Lucky Bags, so
yeah,
you can't whittle away. But yeah, no, there is no unit that does exactly what she be doing. But you know, we'll seize the stees in the seas. See, I spelled C 2 ways different there. But yeah, so they have been doing this pretty consistently. I want to say since the start of this year, they've been doing the free quest support banner. There'll be a bonus 5-star somewhere in here. They have a really broad range of people to pick because I would also like to point out that the rerun celebration campaign part 3 launched, which means limited time missions for Saint Courts, which are themed around completing Lilim Harlot. So there's also incentive to do the incentive. It's one too many T's. There is incentive to work on the rerun because you will also get more Saint Courts that way. And once again, trust me, we will be going to that well probably. But in addition to the limited time missions, you also have double suck chance and double FP for the Lilim Harlot bonus servants, which is, I think, basically everybody who was playable in arcade. So it's a lot. It's a lot of people. Could be a 5-star berserker. Sorry, that was the patron chat where we're suggesting it could be a 5-star berserker because that is also kind of like all classes. Let me look at these and see just how many people is in this list. Oh yes, and actually I forgot to put a note, but just to remind you what we mean by same stuff is if you've already gotten all your copies of Subnautica, your extra copies beyond the 1st will get you rare prisms. Beyond the 5th. Yeah, it's a big ass list. I'm not reading all these names out. It's 10:30 at night. I'm not reading all these names. It's a lot of people. You can go look it up. It's on the main site right now. I had a very easy time picking people for event support setup. But if you don't have all of the servants leveled up, like I said, it's double suck chance and you get double FP for using them.
I should need to fix my supports, but I'm just not in the mood right now. I have no brain. Help.
But that will in about 30-ish minutes, yeah, I figured we'd have some stuff to say about the new story chapter, is going to bring an end to Skelligrams.
Oh, if we're done with Skelligrams, that means it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. I had to wait for the autocomplete to kick in there. But this week we have four lovely comments. Thankfully, we got this mailbag out super heckin' late. But we'll get through them all. Starting from the top, we got Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, "Dear Lucky and Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. And wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Also, yes, you are correct. I have no brain, but I must think." Moving swiftly on, though, we got the Tyrant King having no idea what story could be after seeing the new story visual. This is correct. Be excited and curious, but also a little cautious. You never know. But they say, "Hey guys, with FGO showcasing the after story chapter visual, who do you think the antagonist will have to face? Also, do you think any servants will get any more super forms? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah, 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 wah. And hope you have a great week." The villain's gonna be something abstract and, metaphysical. I feel it already. It's not gonna be a dude, it's gonna be some sort of force in the system that, got weirded out or something. I don't know. It's FGO, man. We only get more esoteric and nonsensical the deeper we get in. And also, yes,
the
servants
enemies
are gonna get
will
more...
be shaped like a column.
Also, yes, there will be more servants getting super forms. Which ones? I'm not entirely sure. I will continue to pray for Lancer Alter.
God, yeah, I mean, if we're talking about loose ends. But yes, no. Like I said, I don't know if they'll be the direct antagonists, but I think that, I think based on the imagery, this will include the Nasu said, keep an eye out, we might do a foreigner audio call. I feel like that stuff's gonna be in this, just cause look at it. It's weird. But the clock motifs and stuff could be everything. It's just anything, any old thing.
Anyway, moving on, this next one comes, sleeping off a sunbird. Ouch. They say, "Howdy, Lucky and Omega, hope you're all having a good week. Question, what is the most annoying technical issue you've had that took way longer to fix than you think it should have?" God, any technical issue?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about tech diff, but it's just like, it's so tilting. You're just like, this worked fine 5 minutes ago, but now that I'm going to do the thing, it's fucking up.
P.S. I asked this question because today it took almost an hour between waiting on hold and talking to two different people to change the phone number on my auto loan account because I needed to change my password, but the dealership or bank made a typo, so the phone number linked to the account was incorrect. And because of two-factor, I needed a code sent to me somehow to change the password, but the BitBlock defaulted to the incorrect number. It would not allow me to change it. It felt way too long and convoluted of a process just to change the number to get a code. Generally, in these situations, you need to ask for methods other than the phone number. This is generally why they also link emails for that. And I don't know your exact situation, so I cannot fully speak on it. But now, anytime you have to speak with someone on a fucking phone over an issue you may have, it is going to take at least 2 to 3 times longer than you think it should have, no matter what. Because usually, there's a lot of people having fucking problems with something, so guess what? You gotta be put on hold a lot. 2, people don't always necessarily know the immediate solution to your problem, so you'll have to be put on hold a lot. 3, sometimes they just don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're trying to make it up as they go, so you get put on hold a lot.
And then, of course, there's the other problem that, they're working out of basically a 3-ring binder, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's metaphorical or physical. I'm sorry, I really like Snow Crash, so I think of the 3-ring binder. Which means they may start at a level of, trying to solve your problem, but you're savvy enough that you're already past that step, but it's hard to get them to skip past that step. And it's not like they can automatically skip past that step, because, quite frankly, there are going to be some people who are not going to be prepared for the 3rd page in the 3-ring binder. You got to start at page 1.
Also, I'm going to be real, a lot of companies, they will record their own employees' things for, feedback and stuff, and you start skipping steps, you'll get dinged for that.
Yeah, they'll catch you, and they'll be like, hey, that was an SOP.
Why did you skip this standard operating procedure? God, that's what happens when I worked in ansurance. So, I know. Trust me, you may think it's an annoying as a pain. Trust me, it is just as much of annoying and annoyance as the pain for them as well.
It reminds me of, I think it was last year, but it might be a little bit longer ago. It was whenever Girls Frontline 2 launched, because the explanation about that. But I got my debit card shut down for a little bit because I spent 99 cents on a little bit of a starter pack, and then my bank flagged it as suspicious, and I'd had that bank and that card for like so fucking long that my phone number was out of date, and I just didn't know because I'd never needed them to text me before because I'd been doing like, bank statements and shit digitally for years at this point, but that wasn't like their priority contact. So it took me a long time to like figure out what the hell was going on and get in contact. Thank God I didn't have to solve it by calling anybody. I actually used their, instant web chat, priority chat thing. I just sent messages back and forth through their like internal messaging service, which was kind of like an email, but different. It required me to be logged into my banking account. And they were just like, I changed my phone. They were like, oh, we tried to contact you, that's your most expedition. I was like, well, it was wrong at the time. Can you send me another confirmed text if that's most expeditious? And they were like, no, the time for the text has expired. However, we can verify the purchase right now. Was it legitimate? I'm like, yeah. They were like, cool. And then we went on. Like, shit's just like that sometimes. This is why you should always make sure that you have all your contact shit up to date. Change all your things. Update your stuffs. Make sure your fucking address is set right. It took me a little bit, because I moved around a little bit, but it took me a little bit to make sure to update my tax filing location documents with the Googles, because obviously they have my stuff for YouTube, so luckily you can manually edit some of that stuff in, and if the IRS was upset, they didn't say anything.
Alright, but I think that's enough on that. We can move on to, last but not least, Agent 418, who says, hello, Lucky and Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all. I don't know. I'm already feeling out of it. I don't know how good this weekend's going to be.
It's going to be a wacky, wild weekend.
Oh. Yeah, but that is it for Mailbag.
Alrighty. And, funnily enough, that's it for the Let's Talk side of the show.
Yeah.
Because there's no new servants and stuff yet. We did have some good news, and I'm glad we had some mailbaggers in, because it was late. Mailbaggers? That doesn't sound right. Whatever. It's late. I'm going to power through it. That means we get to talk about free talk stuff. There are a few things to be talking about. First, I guess, because I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but it was a thing that happened that I want to let the general listener base know about if they're paying attention. But you did a little Discord stream for some Neverness to Everness rolls.
Yeah.
It was on Tuesday. That go okay? I didn't check in because I did fail betrayal, and that was the day I was fucking melting.
Yeah, no, it went okay. So I got it. We had a little bit of tech diff right at the beginning. Like, for some odd reason, Discord wasn't capturing my audio, but shutting things down and pumping it up again seemed to fix it. Probably the biggest problem is that Never to Everness ended their maintenance like an hour and a half early, so I was completely caught off guard.
Yeah, I did see that. That was pretty wild. I haven't seen a lot of games do that. Oh, we finished early.
So, we got on there, a few people showed up, some people popped in and then popped out, and did some rolls, there was chatting, and like I said, it was nice. Like I said, longtime community member, Pogs, Shiny Pogs, suggested it, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I can. I was thinking about doing the YouTube stream, but as you said, you were doing Fail Betrayal, so I was like, I'll just use Discord. And it's quite easy to set up, so...
It is one of the reasons why we created the streaming stage. Obviously, we are doing our movie nights, but yeah, there's always room for a little in there.
Mm-hmm.
So join the Discord if that ever happen up again. Do you have anything else to say about how NTE or the stream is? Sorry, I dropped something. Otherwise, I have a great segue.
Oh no, we can go on. I really don't have anything else to say about NTE.
That's fine. Like I said, I think I tweeted about it, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Encourage people to come to the Discord. Stuff happens there. Robbing the devil on your shoulder. Yeah, he does that a lot. But I say that was a segue to something because I have, I don't know how many people do, but I have fond memories of a game you streamed on our Discord several years ago now, which is you did a full Subnautica playthrough in our Discord, just in a Discord stream. People phasing in and out there. And it just so happens that Subnautica 2 is out. In early access, but yes, it released to the general public.
Yay.
And apparently, despite all of the interesting things going on with their publisher, who's not their publisher anymore, and I think got, all their branding removed by judicial orders, and all that stuff. It's out, it's good, and a shitload of people are playing it. I think they've said that they've already sold like 1 million copies, maybe 2 million. And the old YouTube standbys are doing LPs of it. But yeah, it's blowing up pretty good. Which is good to hear, I like Subnautica. It's a good game. Below Zero is, it has its flaws, but in terms of like the classic problem of, hey guys, we started building an expansion to the game, and then it's just like it turned into something completely different. Here's a standalone release kind of a thing. It's all right, and I feel like it was a little more narrative driven, but they got to try some interesting new systems in it. In general, it sounds like, and from what I've seen of footage, Subnautica 2 is going back to kind of the old standbys of Subnautica. It is a different planet now, not 4546b. And there is, a different oceanic mystery to solve. Audio logs of people who are probably super mega dead to read. But, that means new biology, new weird shit, new systems you can build. And from what I've heard from some early reviews, they have actually made some cool improvements. Not only does it, look pretty good, and have a wide variety of funny haha little fish, but they've done some interesting improvements to systems and things. They've kind of altered how base building works, so it's way, way more modular, it seems.
Okay.
Like, you just, instead of building just, one-size-fit-all multi-purpose rooms, you kind of, take the builder tool and shape habitat rooms to be roughly the size you'd like, including the ability to kind of, shrink and grow parts of it.
Okay.
And also, you can just reposition where things are inside your bases now. You don't have to disassemble them. You can just grab a locker and stick it over there on the other wall.
Okay.
So yeah, sounds like they got some really good stuff with that going on. And also, they have an interesting new mechanic I've seen from some videos that I know is something you've talked about in other games enjoying, which is the fact that we live in the super advanced future actually matters because you get to do gene mods on yourself.
Ooh, gene mods.
So, from what I've seen, you get to, adapt your, it's one of the higher level crafting things you can get to, but you get to, adapt your body. The game starts, by forcing you in the tutorial to give yourself an adaptation, which, explains why you don't get oxygen toxicity or the bends.
Okay.
Because they got tired of people complaining about how you'd explode or die or something. But it looks like later adaptations will be letting you be able to digest the local food and, possibly be for other things like that.
That's neat.
So yeah, that's a cool new direction we're going in. I've heard good things about, some of the various tools and devices you have. Your scanner now acts as a little local radar, so you can find, data boxes and new blueprints to scan. It'll let you know there's points of interest near you. The Sea Glide replacement goes on your forearms, so it doesn't take up the center of your screen anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lots of little things like that. And obviously, it is still the early access, so the story's not complete start to finish, and all the possible blueprints are not in yet. I don't think there's a Cyclops equivalent in the game yet, but it's going places, and it looks like you've got, up to 4-man co-op. You get to pick, visually distinct pioneers in order to, identify yourself, who all have, little different names and slightly different color schemes. And looks like you can maybe... I haven't seen anybody show off, unlocking new customization options, so I don't know if you unlock them, in the game explicitly, or it's just they have room for different customizations later as the game expands.
Mm-hmm.
We are firmly... They did talk about, printing a new colonist in the main menu I saw for some videos, so they do also have an explanation for, how you respawn.
Oh, okay.
We're in digital backups and body printing era, so they just, print a new you, and then you go pick up your stuff. So yeah, they're doing interesting things. Looks like it's a fun game to play solo, and obviously we'll probably have some funny multiplayer stuff. Haven't seen a lot of footage of that yet, but I'm sure people are enjoying it. So it's a good one to keep an eye on and to check out sometime. But yeah, so they're despite, all the stuff going on, they're doing pretty good, seems like. And that's good. Games to be good is cool.
Yeah.
Another game that is good, but is apparently not doing as well, is Saros. I believe there's been some reports that it is financially underperforming a little.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. They've actually said that they have not quite hit some of their sales goals, which I think is a little sad because the game is very good. It reviewed very well. It is, for the moment, only PS5 exclusive, but there are a decent number of those out there, and the scores are super high. They're like 92% on OpenCritic, 87 on Metacritic, so like it's reviewing super well. I guess we'll see when the phase comes in. Actually, I should check though. Housemark, did Returnal end up on PC? I'm pretty sure it did. Yes, it was on Windows, so yeah, Returnal ended up on PC. So I'm sure there will be a PC port eventually, but hopefully it's not too rough to housemark in there. Because I'm having a blast. I've discovered what I'm fairly certain is I'm reasonably certain because it's the maximum in the in-game codex. The final zone of the game, the final biome. I won't say that I've found the final boss, because you never know with these sorts of games. But I found a big scary guy to fight. They do an interesting thing where, they give you some extra juice in the final area. The final upgrade lets you, first of all, punch down those yellow barriers that have been annoying me throughout the whole game. And yes, like I said, they do hide, your traversal and clearance of rooms, side rooms upgrades throughout the entire game. But also means I can open, containers, loot drops that normally required keys without a key. Fuck you, don't need keys, punch part. But the final area of the game does not allow you to use the second chance feature anymore. You're locked out of your second chance. It's one and done. At least for the moment. I don't know if there'll be, future run-throughs. There seems to be some builds for, or some room for, replayability and possibly resequencing. I don't know if I clear the game and, roll credits. Is the game over, right? It could be one of those things where it kind of keeps going because the sun is forever. But I am super hyped to actually finish it up and see what's going on, because I'm kind of following most of what's been going on with the plot. I think as the audience, I've unpacked most of the things. Devraj is he's still a little, Arjun's still a little in the dark about some things, but that's kind of par for the course in Carcosa. You think everybody's all illuminated, but they're not. Let me double check. Let's see. 41 hours, yeah, so it'll probably be I did spend some time, idling in zones paused, but most of that's playing the game. Though sometimes I would go to non-new areas to kind of backtrack and try and find more audio and text logs and more Gidges and Gobs and more Lucenite for more upgrades. But, I think my progress in the game is pretty decent, because, like I said, I was usually still having upgrades to buy in the previous section of the tree before, unlocking the next node by defeating a boss. So I kind of felt like I was progressing pretty good. I will heartily recommend the game to anybody who has a PS5. It is a pretty fun, third-person action shooter game. You do have some fun weapons. You got some fun gadgets. It's probably a personal play preference thing. You out there, audience at home, may find some of the guns that I did not find very useful to your play style. I do think there are some weapon options that are a little too finicky to use for generally how the game goes. Because it's a third-person shooter and you've only got so much aim. Weapons that disable what they call auto hit, but it's not really auto hit, but it's mostly the aim assist tracking. There are a couple weapons that don't do that. They usually reward you for hitting enemy weak spots. I find them pretty awkward to use because the game is, quite frankly, designed to be kind of hectic. This is the same guys who did Returnal. So there will be fights in Saros which are just super mega bullet hell, You'll be mixing and matching multiple kinds of projectiles which you all need to deal with in slightly different ways. So having to also manually aim your gun at moving targets who won't sit still. Little tricksy. Like I said, some people may go for that style, but I found it difficult. And there's a couple of variations on the last weapon style I unlocked, the Chakram launcher, where it shoots, razor-sharp discs that stay embedded in enemies to do damage over time. That's cool. The rate at which you get your discs back depends on exactly which weapon you've got. Some of them kind of, bounce back right away when they hit something. Others only come back when you press the alt fire button, and you only get, like, one in the chamber, so you constantly have to, like, fire, pull it back, fire, pull it back. Others, like, get stuck in the wall or the enemy for an X amount of time, but if you whiff, that means, you might have all 3 of your discs be stuck in a wall and have to wait for them to come back. So that was, like, I don't hate it, but it's definitely, like, finicky to wield. But yeah, I'm having a great time, and probably by next week we'll be done. Well, like I said, I'll clear the final area and beaten a certain kingly gentleman. We'll see if that's how the game ends, because it's super interesting, and it makes me think thoughts, have feelings, put some stuff in my bonnet, put some stuff under my thinking cap for later. But yes, in general, I know I said it before, but I would heartily recommend the game. Let's see. Any other stuff? I feel like I should have put a few more things down in the What's Up zone, but no, I've mostly been working pretty hard on Saros most of the week. Over last weekend, I did clock some time. I jumped back into Aliens Fireteam Elite because I was feeling it because of the announcement.
Yeah.
I cleaned out a couple of the old like horde modes and stuff that I'd never finished even once. I got some cool different ideas in there. And I don't have all don't have quite all my classes leveled up, but I have to think about getting that pathogen DLC for the extra story chapter. So that's still fun, but I like it, but I also I don't have to jump into it. So we'll see if we actually I do put more time into it, because like I said, I had a lot of fun playing it over the last weekend, and then I was like, okay, I should get back to Saros, though, and then Saros super sucked me back in. I haven't watched all of it, but IGN did put out a first look of gameplay for the game, and it looks kind of the same as the last one. They've kind of polished up the UI a little. And also, I noticed that I feel like the slight changes to the UI structure look a little bit like Helldivers 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's interesting to see kind of the impact that Helldivers maybe made on the space, even if that's not a game I'm not playing anymore right now. Though, allegedly, I heard the devs are saying that they are after, so many years, they are considering kind of their progressing and leveling process again. So, the thing I would say is just, I feel like they've got so many fucking war bonds and stuff, they probably want to, infuse the super credit economy a little. I know that's obviously their cash shop method as well, but also I feel like just that's that and some other resources always felt like they lagged so far behind the cutting edge curve of all the crazy shit they kept dropping. But we'll see if they do have the updates for that. But yeah, I saw a little bit of the footage, and they did at least say in the early part of the video that their specialist class, which is the kind of build your own class, you unlock by playing a little bit of every class. But then that kind of gives you the ability to mix and match, which sounds interesting, because like I said, I went back and played it. I like the classes in Fireteam Elite. They had some fun ones, and they could have probably done some more stuff, but they had some decent abilities. They had some decent weapon combos. It was very funny to look at which of my weapons were leveled up all the way, and it's like, oh, the classic smart gun, all the flamethrowers, all the shotguns.
All I'm just thinking about right now is the sea of fire I had to endure every time I played with you.
Yeah. I liked the flamethrower pretty early in the heavy, and I think Lancer or Demo was my main job for a lot of it. So much fire. Then sometimes we would play on higher difficulties, and I would be like, okay, I have to do less fire. When friendly fire is on. I will say, though, I did also check out the classic pump shotgun just again, which was another thing that was fully leveled. I'm just like, yeah, no, this guy's good. This is just a good gun. Keep it handy for close encounters, baby. Just keep clicking. It's good. So I'll be interested to see, what new weapons and tricks they come up with. Again, I didn't watch all the video. It's like a 30-minute first look. It's out there for you to find, chat. But the map it looked like they were on looked like it was the outside of another atmosphere processor, alien style. So that's neato. That's a kind of area that's pretty iconic, and also makes absolute sense for them to be there. Burke fucking says in the movie, "Oh yeah, we make these, by the way." So they're a mass-produced standard kit. If it's anything like the first game, that means that you're gonna go there early and have to come back and blow it up later, because that's kind of the way the Fireteam Elite story works as well. We streamed some of that. I don't remember if we streamed all of it, but that's on the channel somewhere. You should check that out, gang. But that did remind me of something that I forgot to write down in my notes, but I did want to mention as well, is that also got some news about Marathon.
Marathon
has announced they will officially start their Season 2 June 2nd. So there will be a full, loot reset. There will be some new maps. Going to make Dire Marsh Night Mode, which is going to be interesting. But all of this was part of a, big, long conversation they had about feedback they've got, lessons they've learned, that kind of a thing. There was I don't think we talked about it in the podcast before. There was a recent, it's shareholder meeting season. We're coming up on being the the 5th month. So there's a lot of news rattling around. Capcom updating their global sales numbers. Square Enix talking about their profitability, which is back up, by the way. They're doing that thing where their revenue was smaller, but their net profits were up, kind of a thing. And they explicitly pointed out in their investor call that, yes, Final Fantasy XIV made less money. That's because Dawn Trail didn't come out this fiscal year. We didn't release an expansion this fiscal year. It was just subs, so yeah, we made less money. Duh. So expect that number to shoot back up, end of next fiscal year with Evercold. But among those things, there was a PlayStation call where some people tried to interpret this overly negatively. Sony PlayStation said that the evaluation of Bungie was reduced by several $1 million. That's not to say that Bungie and Marathon literally lost them that much money. It's just that the overall value of the company has gone down since PlayStation acquired it, if they sold it today. On that call, they said that Sony is, I can't remember the exact phrasing. They specifically mentioned something like, despite some, social media comments, the game has a, stuck in, has a strong returning player base, strongly retained player base kind of a thing. And Bungie themselves had something similar to say about it. No, you are the gotcha devil, Rob, and I'm not, I won't accept it. You are the great Satan. Marathon, sorry. I was in a side comment from the patron gallery. But they talked about an update with what they're planning for their new season and stuff, and they talked about a lot of the feedback, and they said that they have a core interested group of people. Bungie is committed for a multi-season storytelling. PlayStation seems to be behind them in that. That said, obviously, they've been pretty receptive to feedback, and Marathon has been a very interesting case of a game where they have been very strong about not necessarily pivoting, but making alterations as needed. Sometimes only temporary ones, and then they kind of go back for permanent fixes, but, they're keeping an eye on everything and kind of, adjusting things. A lot of stuff going on right now, for instance, is balances around, kind of like what endgame stuff looks like. Like, a lot of people get to the higher tiers of play, and they kind of end up doing all the same things, which is, they fill their fucking backpacks with grenades, and they use bubble shields, and sniper rifles, and shit like that. So, they've changed, how in missions your grenade stack and shit like that. I think they increased the rarity of bubble shields because they can be very powerful because they're just Halo 3 bubble shields. It's Bungie. And obviously they introduced their mid-season carry update to incentivize playing with but also playing against players. But they talked about what their plans for Season 2 are, which are going to continue to be very interesting and experimental. Obviously you'll have changes to existing zones, possibly new zones. They'll have a new runner, codenamed Sentinel. No idea what that guy's abilities are going to be, but they're going to be doing that. They did say for sure that they will be doing duo queues. That was experimented with several times, so they will be permanently adding a duo queue to the rotation. They did still say it would be rotating through the maps, so it doesn't seem like it'll be all maps all the time, but, they're still playing with it. But I think one of the interesting thing was in addition to kind of talking about some of their other experiments, there was the sponsored only kits where they realized that, some of the sponsored kits kind of sucked ass. I think they buffed the overall rarity and quality of things in sponsored kits a little. They were a little too basic bitch, so they've improved those. But the things they've talked about is kind of some of the complaints you've seen. They talked about how it seems like Marathon has a little bit of a tough onboarding process. The tutorial is relatively short, and when you're actually in the game, there's a lot of stuff that is still, unclear to you. There's a lot of things people don't know how to interact with, like some of that I think was supposed to be like the old school, Bungie, like, you either got to figure it out yourself or, like, go on the forums and figure it out type stuff for, like, how you deal with certain, events in maps. God knows about some of the stuff everybody had to figure out about a cryo archive, the lose everything factory, So, like, they're working on improving onboarding. They also talked about how they realized that, it was sometimes unclear or it was tough to progress your season levels and your various sponsors, because they would be on a whole wide variety of maps and they weren't all synced up. Sometimes you'd be doing like the rank 5 quest for one company and you'd be going to Dire Marsh, and then some of those motherfuckers want you to go to I keep wanting to say Pinwheel. That's not actually the name of the map, but the third map. Pinwheel's the thing in the middle. It's been a while since it's been a couple of weeks since I actually logged into Marathon. But yeah, they talked about kind of like, the disparity and all they're saying all the good stuff. They're like, we've noticed that, there's like a divide between like when players get to those upper levels, the population can get a little thin. A lot of people who are playing kind of casually, don't know what to do with themselves, kind of a thing. So we want to improve that. But I think one of the interesting things they talked about experimenting with in the next season is one of those things they wanted to do to try and give more casual or more just, random rollout players was giving them new things to do. So they're going to, they claim, experiment with new PvP modes and some PvE only modes.
Yes.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting. So obviously we'll have to see what that looks like, and generally it seems like kind of the way Marathon's going to do stuff is when they say experimenting, they mean it. They will actually experiment. It will not be available all the time, but they're going to play around with some modes. So there will probably be, weeks where there'll be like, these special modes, these special maps, these special areas going on. And, yeah, that's I think, real neato. I talked about, kind of like changing maybe their matchmaking a little, to recirculate some stuff, like a lot of general improvements. It's a big, long article. There's a TLDR, but, I know obviously a lot of people wanted to be very negative about Marathon, and a lot of people were, sharpening their knives, especially like I said over that comment about like Bungie's valuation went down. But for now, Sony's still committed to backing them, and the Marathon team is incredibly reactive and very smart. And I know some people are kind of like, oh, well, will that be the death of the core experience if we only have the PvE mode? And it's like, I don't think so, because I think this dev team is smart enough to make it so that, like, there will still be players and there will still be reasons to do the old-fashioned extraction shooter, like, with players, especially since they talked about trying to, like, change up the matchmaking, algorithms a little. They said that their previous matchmaking style was mostly focused on keeping very experienced players and very unexperienced players far apart, and it did kind of work, but like I said, that means that there's kind of like a medium grind level. You get to that medium core, and then you're just kind of stymied. So I think, the PvE and PvP actions going on out there, but I don't think if you want to sweat and be tryhard, which some people don't want to be, but if you do want to sweat, you will probably still be able to find matchmaking for the normal PvP extraction mode. And also, the PvE shit will kill you. I have seen some of the demons they got playing for the other team in Cryo Archive and shit. This game mean and nasty. Mostly the stuff I'm interested, like, obviously, I'm very interested in the PvE stuff. I'm very interested in the duo queue stuff, because that seems like that's honestly, and also even the better onboarding and the more accessible to casual players, that seems like it makes it easier for me to sell this niche freak game that I do love, but also, like, have not played in a little bit to play other games, to my friends. Because, I don't think it's just the multiplayer, which is why Subnautica 2 has sold a gajillion billion copies, but I think it's helpful. Far Far West came out, and mentioned that last week. They're also doing crazy good. They got 500,000 sales or something. Like, I think there's something to be said for, the co-op experience and being able to make it an easier sell, not just for me personally, but also for other people who like Marathon to be like, hey, hop on Marathon. I mean, to metaphor it for another game that we love, how easy is it to try and get people to try out award-winning MMO, Final Fantasy XIV, with free trial, gonna be accessible up to Shadowbringers, all the way to level 80? Like, that's real easy to get people to try it, right? You can unrestricted, playtime. That's crazy. Actually, unrelated, but I've also heard that Final Fantasy XI is actually going to do something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're changing up their free trial method. I don't know if they have the time for that in my life, but that definitely would make it easier to poke in and take a look. Thank you, Ark. You heard about a warning of Final Fantasy XI. I think it's very well timed. They refreshed their website for the first time in years. Final Fantasy XI. I think it's very well timed to the third raid being out in 14 because it's the 11 collab, and it does kind of just sometimes make you go this would probably be a lot more interesting and hit a lot harder if I understood Final Fantasy XI better. So that's probably a good time to jump in. But yes, I think Marathon making it an easier sell while still keeping their core gameplay identity and options out there, is good. That will make the game more successful. That'll get more people to play the game. That'll maybe give me more fun stuff. That's right. Yeah, you can go to Shadowbringers right the fuck now. That's crazy. You can literally go to Shadowbringers. It's nuts. I've seen a lot of people jumping in, by the way. I've seen a lot of Twitter threads of various sprouts experiencing emotional trauma for the first time. They will learn to fear. Several cutscenes will play in sequence. Also, it says a lot about Final Fantasy XIV that people get attached to all the characters you'd expect them to get attached to, and you just know. They're going to be feeling it. I've also seen a lot of returning players. Yeah, that's true. Well, with a sample size, that's probably pretty big. I know our pal, member of the Studio Mega Players, Aaron's gotten back in, trying to clear some stuff.
Yeah.
Hildebrand's a great one. That's a great seller. I remember I saw somebody's tweet. I think they're playing Dragoon, and they're just like, "What the fuck am I doing? Why are these zombies wearing suits and JoJo posing at me?" And I'm just like, "Yep, yep. It's only uphill from here, baby." God, Hildebrand's so good. When's the next bit of that coming out for DT?
I don't know.
Have they announced? They may not have announced. 0.55. All right. Hopefully that's not too long. But yeah, like I said, the marathon stuff is very cool to hear. I'm also personally interested in just I hope that in their rebalancing of onboarding and stuff like that, they do kind of change the way the loot is distributed a little, because there's a fuck ton of guns in the game that I've literally never seen. Everybody was talking about the Misraya shotgun being OP and broken. And that's, I assume, the equivalent of the Halo shotgun, because it's named after Misraya Armory, and it's a pump action. But I've literally, and I have, hold on, can I check how many fucking hours I have in Marathon? Ooh, August. Oh, so far. But, yeah, according to PlayStation, I have over 80 hours in Marathon. Never seen one of those once. And they don't have to be high rarity. They could be common rarity. Never seen them. So, I like... Okay, it's July 28th. That's still far, but not that far. Not as far. It'll be after Berlin. But like I said, so that I'm a little hype about the new season in the June. There'll be a new runner, there'll be new stuff to unlock, and I'm hoping that they rebalancing kind of their faction quests and general prog that makes it a little easier to go through and understand. I feel like some of the, should I say difficulties? I can say difficulties. Some of the difficulties in Marathon are mostly due to just it's their first extraction shooter, and it's their first season in a multi-season long game plan. So, they really didn't know how long they should balance out the faction quests for,
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine if they'd done it and then everybody, on the first week burned through, all, 10 or 20 faction levels, and, they probably don't have the materials to unlock all the upgrades, but they unlock all the chance for upgrades, and they're just game boring, nothing to do. That'd be pretty rough. Because, listen, it'll happen. I fucking remember people in 14 who finished Dawn Trail on the pre-order weekend, and they were just it's lame, there's nothing to do anymore, man. It's it's because you took 48 hours off and you didn't sleep and you beat the whole X-Pack. What the fuck do you mean there's nothing to do? You've done it already. So yeah, people are crazy. I also feel I'm just thinking about this myself. With my enjoyment and getting closer to completion of Saros and, my love of Marathon, I think it definitely says to me that, I'm not averse to games which are designed to be a little sweaty, a little hardcore, a little punishing. I think specifically there are parts of how Soulsborne games are made that makes me not enjoy them. I'll say it. Like I said, Saros is a roguelike, or light? Probably light, but there's more roguelike elements. It actually has procedurally generated rooms and maps. Shit, it's actually randomized properly. But I don't lose all my shit when I die. I keep my Lucenite. I can keep spending it. Grow. Also true, Architect, yes. People, they may have been completionists before, but there was more stuff to do. But yeah, I know I don't have to play FromSoft games, but people try to get you to play FromSoft games, and I think some of their games have good ideas. It's just, like I said, I don't jive with all of their gameplay decisions. I've gotten better at it through leveling. I don't think it's a fear center. I think it's just like an anxiety and annoyance. Like it frustrates me to drop all my souls when I die and then have to run the gauntlet back through all the respawned enemies to pick up my shit, knowing that if I fuck up again, I'll lose my shit. Like, some of the games are better about the shortcuts, but some of the games are not good about the shortcuts and the long-ass walks of shame, which are usually critiqued in FromSoft games, but people don't critique them very strongly, you know? Like, it took a few years for FromSoft to kind of change their tune. Whereas, like, I don't mind if a boss, you know, fires... Well, I mind a little. It's a little annoying when a boss fires at me, like, 9 gajillion unblockable projectiles. You can't dash through them. You have to punch parry them, which I'm not super good at. I've said before, they give you a lot of options to upgrade the parry. The parry in Saros is a little awkward because it's on your shield button. The timing's a little weird. Honestly, Saros in general is a game that's got really interesting momentum stuff. Like, your reach with throwing a punch is different if you're standing still versus if you're in motion, which obviously makes logical sense, but it's a video game, so you don't always expect that. But, like, I don't feel as bad when the boss fires a wave of unblockable red projectiles at me and I fucking die, or they, you know, blow up the map and throw me into the bottomless pit, and I'm out of, you know, second chances or whatever. If I come back and I go like, okay, all right, we died, time to spend our Lucenite, you know, wasn't a good run, let's refactor, let's get back into it, kind of a thing, you know. It's funny how I think people called, like, the original Demon's Souls, like, people talked about it being more roguelike because, you know, you lose all your stuff, but it's not really, because it's not procedurally generated and the enemies aren't randomized. It's like, I'm kind of glad they did emerge as kind of their own genre, because it is kind of the thing that's out there. I know you, Lucky, do not always prefer when everything is completely randomized, reset on death, and I myself find that annoying in certain games. Saros is kind of, like I said, it's kind of in the light zone, because, like, it is technically randomized, but there's only so many different combinations of rooms to run into, and I think some of them are fixed. Like, you know, you will hit fixed points in each, you know, jog through a biome, and you get to keep a percentage of your Lucenite, so it's a fun time. Like I said, I recommend. Apparently, that's the thing I got to do, is I got to recommend Saros to people, because it's not the hot. That's going to be my bonnet bee for a little bit. But yes, Marathon, cool game. Saros, cool game. Other than. Sorry, I almost said other than Neverness to Everness, but that we have to qualify that, because you like the game, but also you had stuff to say last week. Any cool games, TM, you've been playing, Lucky?
I've been debating if I wanted to talk about it, but I think I will. So I've been playing a game recently that has activated my one more turn syndrome. The syndrome in which you play a game way too late because you want to keep pushing forward. This is an erotic game, but hear me out. It is called My Dystopian Robot Girlfriend.
Listen,
you can find it.
If there's not gameplay in your erotic game, then why is it an erotic game?
Yeah. But you can find it on itch.io. That's where I did. I don't know how I came across that. I think I was looking at another erotic game, and it just came up, and it was really highly rated. So I was like, let me look at this, and I downloaded it, and I'm like, oh my god. But basically, you play Anon. You know that image of the Anon character in, you know, the black hoodie and a beanie, who just looks kind of, you know, beaten up and stuff? Yeah, you basically play that guy who lives in a dystopian future with, you know, everything's gone to shit. At one point, sex bots become legal, and then they become illegal. And it just so happens that you, as Anon, find a sex bot thrown away in a ditch, and, you know, decide to take her in. It's a very interesting life simulation. Basically, you're down on your luck, you don't have any money, your landlord's a bit of a shit, and you have to basically make rent every week. Rent's like $800, and there's a lot of ways you can do it. One of them is you can literally make your sex bot become a cam girl, and, you know, fuck her on stream, or you could just not do that and, you know, try to work, you know, low-end jobs, sell fish, play the stock market, gamble, and stuff. And like I said, and over time, you know, your relationship with your sex bot progresses and can take on a variety of things. You start meeting more people in town and get to interact with them. You know, events happen, and stuff. You know, you can go to church and talk to priestbot and a fake ass nun. Like, there's a lot of story and there's a lot of story and interaction in there, and like it says, yes, there is sex elements and stuff, but more often than not, I find myself forgetting about those bits. I'm just like, no, I want to go do more stuff. It feels like a cyberpunk story with the impetus of you finding a sex bot. Like, how do I want to put this? Like, the sex scenes and stuff are like well developed and well done, but I remember at one point I unlocked the like one of the first things you can do when you get the head is you can just give her a head pats. You can just take your head and rub her head. I'm like, yes, this is amazing. You can hold her hands. You can go to sleep with her, you like no sex, and she'll give you a head pats and you pull you close for cuddles. I'm like, ooh, this is like activating, you know, my desire for companionship once again. It's like,
so the team knows what they're doing. I think
no, the team
that's like playing to a lot of classic tropes.
No, so like it's not like it's not afraid.
Like I won't say evil Chobits, but like a reverse Chobits situation.
It is kind of a reverse Chobits, man. But you can't stick your dick in her without problem. So,
Sorry, unrelated, but just saw a tweet and retweeted it where the special Mahoyo anime film live stream will be later. News soon. We can talk about that later.
But like I said, I put a lot of hours into it, and the game has like a lot of endings. There's like 22 bad endings and like 3 good endings. I'm just like, that gives me a little bit of fear of just like knowing there's so many bad endings. It gives me a little bit of choice paralysis.
Yeah, that's always a little tricky knowing about so many outcomes. I think I talked about that. That's why I stopped playing Triangle Strategy despite being so hyped for it after the demo, was that like learning that like there's one true golden route and you have to take very specific answers. I'm just like, oh man. You definitely get that like you said, choice paralysis of just like, oh shit.
No, so like I said, I'm probably gonna try and keep off it a little bit because, like I said, I've been reading on it and whatnot. I need to take care of other things. But if you see like Lucky awake at like 3 a.m., he's probably playing my dystopian robot girlfriend, and probably thinking that I need to get back into dating. I do need to get back into dating. I miss girls.
Robin, 3 a.m. your time or Lucky time? Or are they the same time? How does time work in Canada? Yes, thank you. You are Gotcha Satan. I'm beaming you to the 9th circle of hell with my mind.
Usually when a Lucky is away, it's super late, and I'm usually in the mood for something erotic. Just something about the being in the witching hour just says, yes, it is time for carnal desire!
Sorry, it took my brain a second to get there, but I was like, no, nighttime is the right time. I was like, there's a rhyme for this?
The nighttime is the right time. I wonder if I can find that old CD.
If I'm up late, it's usually, if you see me hanging around, that usually means that I'm probably fucking around with something, or just like the lights are off, and it's not because I'm looking at erotic material. It's because I'm jamming out the ideas that take hold of me. But yes, I'm I can say like that. I'm glad to hear you found something you like. You're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, you mentioned it like playing 14 the other day. I think you said you were going to link it in Hella Not Safe for Work.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry, explicitly not safe for work. It's not Hella Not Safe for Work anymore because some people interpreted the Hella incorrectly, and I'm like, no, it needs to be actually explicit to go in Super Not Safe for Work. Just a bikini shot won't go, even if that may or may not get you fired.
But I will go post it right now
for Lasagna. Well, that's not exactly what happened to Lucky, but there was the evening of the bad salad. I don't know if it was directly related, but it was that same block of 24 hours, which is when you were like, the power of Satan is upon me. I must make breakfast burritos.
Oh, wait, that's not the gift. Damn it. Actually, I wonder if we have... I love that I look up gifts of her, and just all the ones I find are just you giving her head pats. Amazing. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. I was talking to Loth about that, and he was like, oh yeah, we're gonna play this game for, erotic reasons. It's like, oh no, I'm getting personally attached to this character.
Oh no. good writing. I mean, like I said, that's the thing. I know some people are not, whatchamacallit, like, they don't realize this, but I'm like, no, listen, the porn is so accessible on the internet, most places, and even then you can circumvent. But, like, if there's not gameplay in your erotic game, then it's not an
It's
ero
nothing.
game. Now, if there's too much gameplay and there's not enough ero, then you probably could have just made a normal video game, as we've seen with the direction Type Moon has gone in. It turns out that they didn't necessarily need it to be explicit for them to sell well, and honestly, probably sell better. But there's a whole connoisseuring to go out there. All right. Well, anything else, or is this just the kind of thing where you like stumbled upon this and like you said, it's just been keeping you up to the small hours of the morning, and you look over at the clock and go, oh fuck.
Yeah, no, because I actually follow a lot of erotic game devs on Twitter, and they repost things, and I'm not gonna talk about the thing that I originally saw, because that was just like what the fuck is this kind of moment. But in looking at that, I saw this, I'm all like, no, this is genuinely amazing. I love it. So yes. I hope more people play it and support them on Patreon so they continue to do more updates and releases. Lucky needs to get a job so I can support this game and get more releases. Lucky needs to get a job so he can get back into the dating scene. Oh no, the game is free.
Yeah, it's on itch.
It's on itch. The game is free. You don't have to pay the Patreon is just for early access and, and support.
Pretty typical. It's one of those things where, like, you want to talk about the logistics of piracy and stuff like that. It's because there is a lot of free out there. There's a tendency to have a lot of releases of H games and the like, which people either are already free or just pirate. But the general scheme, which I think is, listen, gang, I've been on the internet a while. Lucky's almost 40. I'm in my 30s. Oh shit! This year, will I technically be in my mid-30s? Be 34? One of the funny numbers. That's kind of the middle. But been on the internet a long time, gang. Got special permission from my parents to lie about my age and join GameFAQs forums when I was only 11. But like, that was an early adopter of systems like Patreon and Substar and stuff like that, which is obviously one of the reasons why the censorship of payment processors of media and entertainment outlets sucks ass, and you should probably continue to be prepared to slam their phone lines and their email lines when it comes up, because, they don't have the right to control that stuff, and also controlling that level of speech makes it a very easy way to jump to other areas of speech. Not only is the erotic part of, basic, basic human interactions, but also, no good people can turn that into a thing. They can make that a biggest deal. Yes, no, my internet dropped for like a half second there. Luckily, I was in the middle of a monologue, which the recording got. My ping, though, right now in Discord is absolutely fuckled. Okay, there we go. My ping is back to normal. Yeah, no, that was my internet dropping. Speaking of people who I probably need to blow up some emails or phones, I need to talk to those guys sometime and be like, hey, I'm experiencing outages. Unfortunately, I'm just talking about, getting the technical runaround. I'm just as likely for them to be like, yeah, sorry, we've noticed there's some outages in your area. We're working on it. And then, nothing. It comes and it goes. It was very annoying to play Far, Far West with the boys the other day. I could not host because if I disconnected, that means we all got disconnected. So,
oof.
I had some very odd connection disconnections. But yes, no. What I was saying was that the Patreon model was an early adopter of this kind of things for erotic games and stuff, where you would back on Patreon for early access or extra side materials, and eventually everything would be public. Also, because somebody will throw that stuff out there. Stroking my chin. Oh, we were scratching my chin. Sorry, the itching took hold of me. Any other things going on with you, Lucky? Any fun, cool anime? Any mangas you've read?
Oh, you know me, I'm constantly reading and watching stuff. I don't think there's anything in particular that has jumped out at me. Oh, I think there is something I can recommend, though, that will be coming soon. I have to go pull it up. Where is it? Because I saw an announcement for it on Twitter. I know I shared it with the guys, and I know at least one person said, "This is amazing," which is great. Let me see here. My internet has been acting weird.
It's funny enough. Well, Lucky's searching my own Twitter For You page is pretty good, but it's very funny to see things taking over, which is getting a lot more painted Warhammer minis, especially by people speaking Japanese, because I've liked and retweeted a few as reference photos.
Oh, yeah.
In particular, gone out of my way because I know Lucky mostly sticks to his, following page. Throw out a couple of retweets of any Raptors or Raven Guards I see that are cool.
I have to be careful about going on For You because I follow a lot of erotic accounts and I will just get some weird ass shit.
You will. I do think that, because listen, I follow some artists on Twitter. I enjoy some arts. I do think that generally Twitter tries to minimize explicit stuff on your For You page, but it's not completely gone. You will occasionally see some new stuff.
I think I am gonna have to separate my erotic and my non-erotic accounts because I follow a lot of things. I follow artists, I follow music groups, I follow voice actresses, game devs, erotic artists. I just have several animal Twitters. I'm just like, yes, give me cats. It's like, I think I might need to split them up so it's a little bit easier for me to... Because there are times when the Lucky is the horny, and I want to look at the horny things, but there are also times when Lucky is not the horny, and I don't want to see horny things, and I'm just like, guys, calm down. And they're like, nay.
Honestly, I should probably split that up too for that reason of just being calm down or whatever. Or listen, I understand. You gotta get your bag. But I'm not gonna name and shame any names. There are some people I follow who are artists who will retweet something 10 or 15 minutes after they've already posted it. And I'm like, my guy, you are both the most recent entries on my following page. What's up, man?
No.
Switching accounts at least is really easy on Twitter for now. I have I have access to the Studio Mega Twitter still, and I remember my login occasionally and tweet things from it.
Occasionally, but I did find the thing that I was looking for. So, actually, when is this actually coming out? When is it being released?
Shit, right, another thing. I'll bring that up next.
Yes, it's coming out this summer. Okay, so what I found is something that I found was amazing. I love finding little things like this. But the name of it is My Stepmother and Stepsisters Aren't Wicked. Basically, it is a reverse Cinderella story. Basically, the premise of it is that a girl, her only family is dying, and she is taken in by her father, who has married, a very intimidating looking woman, and who has two intimidating looking daughters. She thinks that she is gonna be endlessly bullied and, looked down upon for her poor origins and whatnot. And indeed enough, the stepmother and, stepsister speak very strongly and somewhat harshly, but you very quickly understand that they are doing that because they are absolutely smitten with their new, daughter/sister and want to do everything they can to help her. Like I said, I posted the video in our Patreon chat if you would like to give it along with the link to the manga, which I absolutely devoured. It is so wholesome and hilarious that, I love it. I'm probably gonna go reread it again just because, like I said, it's so unbearably wholesome and just unbearably wholesome. I can't think of another word to describe it. I need it. It purifies my soul just to see this girl, being absolutely flabbergasted that this rich and old family with these high and noble women just absolutely doting on her.
That's cute.
No, it is cute. You can see in the image of the manga there, the stepmother there, she's up there in the upper right. She has, a very, striking and fierce appearance. But, when she's talking to, I forgot her name. I'm sorry. When she's talking to the youngest one, the youngest one is not sure what to call her. She's like, should I call you mother? And the stepmother's like, no, you only have one mother. She is the one who raised you. But if you like, you can call me mommy. And it's just, it's so.
It's a great gag.
No, like I think you have to do the gag in the PV. So no, like that is something like that I came across. It was only like a month ago or so. It wasn't that long ago, but like I said, I saw the preview for the anime coming this summer, and I got interested. And I do want people to check it out. So please look up My Stepmother and Stepsister Aren't Wicked if you need something healing. Like I said, I think there's too much violence nowadays. I need good stuff.
Healing is good. You definitely need some stuff to some feel good to recenter yourself.
I definitely do.
I don't know if it's going to be feel good, but actually, this conversation reminded me there was actually something that I think was this week because it was 5 days ago. But let's see, is this the correct link? Yes, new trailer for Ghost in the Shell, July.
Ah, yes.
And this was really interesting because a lot of people were kind of. I wasn't super surprised because obviously Science Star was going back to Masamune Shirow's like original manga style.
Mm-hmm.
But some people were surprised. No, this one is I think the most common I've seen is a lot of people reacting to and enjoying how animated and expressive everybody is.
Oh yeah.
Like obviously I love Standalone Complex to death. I will die for Standalone Complex. I will kill for Standalone Complex. It's an amazing show. And it was, I should say, much more serious. It was kind of like a hybrid between the original manga and the movies. The movies were like super serious, Mamoru Oshii, and stuff. Like much more realistic style proportions and much more serious tone and heavier on the philosophical stuff because they only had like a couple hours of runtime to cram it in. The manga obviously was a lot more gag-y and, like I said, a lot more expressive. So Standalone Complex was kind of like the halfway between the two, where there are some great gags and expressions. There's some really great banter between the Major and Bato, like the time she makes him punch himself in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just think of the one episode where, that one guy's like, oh man, I'm in so much trouble, goes to the pisser, pisses in the urinal. Bato just slides back the window panel, and Richard Epcar has a great read where he's just like, smiles big and goes, hi. I just punches the guy, drags him out the window. Shit like that. The new Ghost in the Shell that Science Saru is doing is like, there is some hints of some action stuff and some hints of more serious stuff there, but they're showing off a lot of the funny, a lot of the gag, and also some people were like, damn, this is horny, and I'm like, have you seen Masamune Shiro before? Or rather, his drawings?
No, he is horny. He has always been horny.
I know for a fact he draws softcore. I may have drawn some hardcore stuff too in his day. Probably has. He's been around a while. So no, there are some shots of, the Major from behind. There's I'm pretty sure there's a shot of the Major, and they don't actually show her kissing a woman, but she's going into the lead up. So, like,
the Major fucks, y'all. We don't never talk about
Major
this. The Major fucks.
And the manga was a little better about this. Standalone Complex is kind of weird. I'm pretty sure the Major's supposed to be bi because she talks about having a boyfriend all a lot.
No, I'm pretty sure
but
she's bi.
Also she is in at least one lesbian orgy.
Yeah.
Standalone Complex is a lot more subtle because I didn't pick it up when I watched it like the first time when I was like 12, but I did pick it up later. But like the Major does, crash with her probably lesbian nurse girlfriends a lot.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't live there, but she does clearly have some honeys she hangs out with, one of whom is like her, designated governmental witness. But there's also kind of like a whole like plot line in Second Gig, which is about, a boy who could have been her first love, who is, like I said, it's a dude. But you don't have to read anything currently into that romantical. It's just kind of, the childhood nostalgia reaching for the past that is gone now.
No, like, I'm very excited for the new...
No, Science Slayer does a lot of great stuff, but, like, they're showing all the cool moves. The Major is... Not to dig too deep into Ghost in the Shell, again, I could probably talk about all the different permutations of Ghost in the Shell forever, but at least in Standalone Complex, the way I read it is, you could argue that the Major is past gender, and definitely in different iterations, she has, like, dummy bodies where she, like, pretends to be, like, a little boy and stuff like that, or just a salaryman. But also, this is the part which makes the Major, hack Bato and force him to punch himself in the face. He says to her, he's like, "Hey, Major Macho, why don't you replace your prosthetic body for a male version? You'll get more muscle mass that way." And then she's just like, makes him punch himself in the face and goes, "Hey, Bato, your own muscle mass doesn't matter when you're cyberized and you can just turn your enemies, brute strength against them. Observe, children, talking to the Tachikomas."
Like X says, I don't think that Major necessarily cares about gender, but she still has a preference.
Yes. The standalone complex heavily implies that she uses a primary female prosthetic body because she was originally female. The manga, I think, implies this as well, but it's explicit in standalone complex that she was fully cyberized from a very young age in an accident. And the OP1 shows this off with, like, her crushing the child's doll and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So... Yeah, no. Major Kusanagi was originally a woman in most continuities, and that's why I think she keeps a female prosthetic body, is because, like, the Major is a person who could go full-blown transhuman or even post-human. Like, she could, and in fact, does a couple of times just dump her entire brain onto the internet to get in a new cyber body later.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, she is not bound by the physical coil of the corpus. She keeps herself female because otherwise she is worried about basically, like, completely checking out from the human factor and becoming something else. Which also happens in some versions of the story. That's what fucking Ghost in the Shell 2 is about. It's kind of what 2045 is about. 2045 is a little weird. The second half was a little weird. But it's supposed to be about the post-human, intelligences and stuff. And then there was Arise. Arise was super weird because, like, I think they said that she was, like, cyberized in utero, like her mother was in a car accident and they were able to successfully cybernetically preserve the fetus or something. So she's been a cyborg literally her entire life. Like I said, Arise was weird. Yeah, no, like I said, it's an oddball one. That's also where they did a slightly different design for the Major that wasn't as cool, trying to make her younger and hipper. I will say it is kind of fun to see, that's something that obviously that goes back and forth with, like, anime color palettes versus, manga color palettes. I don't hate it. I think it's kind of fun that we've gone to blue hair Major as opposed to kind of the violet that standalone went with. And like I said, Mamoru Oshii went with, like, a very realistic, like, a black hair color. But it's artificial. Her hair color can be, fucking whatever. But yeah, sorry. The conversation about the other thing reminded me of, like, oh yeah, there's a new trailer. It's really, really cool. Super excited. That's July. Chat, if you got any other anime or manga out there you want to recommend, go ahead and throw them in the comments. But I think then we can probably spend a little bit of time talking about Deathwatch.
Deathwatch, watching the death. Yeah.
Gotcha, Satan in here trying to get me to watch One Piece. No thanks, man. Maybe when they finish that remake. That's true, actually. I could watch the live action series, but that's not an anime or manga recommendation.
Anime inspired?
It's true.
Oh,
Listen,
but with
live action. Let me know the comments. Yes, Deathwatch. Episode 3.
Deathwatch. Woo. Were we actually able to complete a whole mission in one session? Hell no.
Not yet.
Like I said, there was a lot of exposition on this one. A lot of setting up. Warhammer, too much lore. We gotta explain too many things.
Yeah, like I said, I think so Mission 1 and we're in Mission 2 now. The guys did decide on the order that way. We're very early before we even started playing it all and, like, seriously talking to the characters. They were my very, very loose ideas. The way I ended up writing it was there's, like, a whole, like, I called it in my notes Mission 0. There was a whole, like, background section with, like, character dossiers and background info and kind of the setup. And I probably should have just done a full-blown Mission 0 of, like, setup. But I did talk about, how you guys could investigate and kind of pick which of the first 2 mission lines you wanted to start, and then, jump back to the other, keep working from there with several mission ideas. But I think I went to, like, push through because, yeah, we've done some off-camera butts. Not just lucky getting lore dumped, but also I think kind of reminding people of stuff, because there are, like I said, there's some players who are not up to date on all their lores. We get to discuss and think through some things, but I think I wanted to, in the first session, try and get to the mission parts. One, because we were talking about, like, think of how fast we can go. But also, the kind of the way we're doing it is, like, getting you guys the EXPs and the renown because a lot of people are kind of like still sitting back and like rubbing their hands going like, ooh boy, what I can do if I can get some more XP. If I can rank up, or I can take this alternate rank, or I can get to this renown level. Like, I think it is appropriate, but also, you guys are already pretty strong. Like, I don't think you guys have used a lot of equipment that you require being the second renown rank to use. Like, mostly people have just been using normal bolters. Technically, your stalker pattern's normally the first rank of renown, and I think a power sword might be the first rank. So, like, Loth's been having good use out of those. But, you know, like, so I think you guys are pretty strong already. On the other hand, I get kind of the progression of unlocking new things, but it does sometimes feel like, man, you gotta grind some of that renown.
Yeah, definitely with the renown. Like, I am glad that we started at the second tier. Like, honestly, I definitely think that starting us at rank 2 in the second room was, like, the best option. Let us build out ourselves and, you know, start with some stuff.
I've heard that, like, and then read a few of them for like, NPC ideas and stuff. Some of the adventure, like, lines recommend starting people at, like, at least a little bit of extra starting XP or higher ranks, just because you can be more fleshed out. Deathwatch Marines at rank 1 are very similar, even if they have different, like, specializations and chapters, because you don't get that much customization, you know? You get, like, a couple of extra trained skills, probably, and you get some slightly different stat lines, but it's still, you know... Yeah, you have 100k XP to customize, and then you get your starting shit, so it's very loosey-goosey. And I, like, double-checked the rank stuff, but I was just like, no, I can't possibly imagine this is going to be that crazy, like, you guys. And like I said, I don't think I'm wrong. Like, you guys have been kind of living and dying through a lot of basic equipment, and just where you put your EXP, and you guys have been able to do some fun things. Last time, we learned about the power of speed.
Oh, God. I know I was supposed to be the sniper, but just my absolute speed sends me every time.
Yeah, it's funny that, like, I mean, it makes sense because, like, one, if you, like, ranged ranges, chat, I'm sorry, it's almost midnight. If this sounds a little weird, don't worry about it. But the ranges of ranged weapons, and that was a thing we determined also through play, is pretty far. So, like, if you want to get out of range of an enemy who can shoot back at you, you gotta shmove. So, like, it makes sense, and I think that's the reason why, like, some of your agility mods and stuff maybe priced the way they are, you know?
Yeah, no, the idea with Sniperius' sniper class is you either pick up a jump pack to shmove around, or you basically become speed on the ground. Your job is to shoot and move.
Basically, the vibes for Sniperius are we're double in the past. Deathwatch is already set a little early for like modern 40k, but is also pre the Dark Millennium when we got introduced to the Dark Imperium. We got introduced to Primaris Marines, but Sniperius is doing the stuff that will eventually become a Primaris unit because G-Dubs is like that, and they were just like, well, we have to do a whole new model line to do this. But, like, now there are sneaky, snipey, knifey, stabby, sometimes with jump packs, Space Marines that are not just, scouts and neophytes.
Yeah, I was a little upset to learn about that when I first started. But no, it's working out so far. I am having to tweak Sniperius' build a little bit here and there to try and keep things balanced. Like, I have to rewrite his ability. But we had a combat here, and like I said, Sniperius was in the lead and moved to cut off the enemy's retreat, which was hilarious because I think I won't say what it was because I want people to say this, but the enemy was 70 meters away, and Sniperius was able to clear that easily and get behind them.
Yeah, I think you didn't even have to. No, you didn't have to go 80. You could have gone 80, but you were like, I'm going to go a couple meters past him. I want to be in point blank range for my shotgun.
I want to use.
So I think shotgun. It was you were 75 out of 70. Just tore ass past that guy.
Yeah,
could have taken a reaction shot, but I'm kind of glad I didn't because he needed those dodges. They didn't save him ultimately, but he still needed them to try.
Oh no! Remember, the attacks of opportunity don't require reactions. Remember, we looked this up.
Oh, that's right. Yes, it doubled that. So I probably should have taken the pot shot anyway, but it's still I think thematically it worked out okay.
Yes. The enemy was just like, what the fuck?
Also, I'm gonna be honest, I don't fucking know if he'd have hit you sprinting.
No, he would have been at a
like
minus
20. Do you have hard target yet?
No, I do not.
Okay. Oh, you'll get there. I should say this. I'm randomly rolling some of the encounters for this. They're in kind of, a, not quite explory, but like a investigating and clear areas, Mm-hmm. Thank you, Robin. Somebody ran 75 meters in T-minus 6 seconds. I'm not reaction shooting. Correct. That guy had nerves of steel, so he did not shit his pants, but he was a little freaked. But no, there will be melee enemies later. Because these guys are clearing, target zones, they have AOs to clear. I'm randomly determining them, and the one they got for that area was just perfect with a long tunnel. I'm just like, oh, this is great.
No,
this
it
is
was
great
good.
for what I'm doing.
No, like I said, I was glad that I went first because Sniperius I do think has the best awareness score in the group. So
you spotted the guy. I had him roll concealment to be hidden in the shadows waiting, and you were just like, nah, I see him.
He's mine. No, but like I said, I am thoroughly obsessed with making Sniperius go as fast as possible. As soon as we hit, what's the next rank? Distinguished? I think it's Distinguished. Distinguished. Yeah. I'm gonna see about getting a fucking what was it? What's it called? It's like the Chronos something. It's basically a device that when you turn it on for 1d10 rounds, you get the effects of unnatural agility and unnatural speed. So I'll double my agility bonus and then double that for my speed. I'm gonna go so fast. I'm just gonna fucking combust from the friction. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think I've talked about that because that's the thing that happens in the secret level episode they did. I'm like, what would happen if I just ran somebody over? And I'm like, I think the way RAM works with a vehicle is it's 1d10 plus the armor facing, and they just bounce off. So it would be probably 1d10 plus 10 for your chest.
Yeah. I feel I should get my agility bonus modifier for speed.
Maybe you will. I should actually double check exactly. I think that's like the starting formula. They may actually take into account your tack speed as well, because that would be more appropriate for impacts, because it's a matter of mass times acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
F equals ma. So there's probably a speed component in it. I should double check.
No, but I am hopeful that we skip back into a big conflict sooner or later. Fighting the single enemy was fun. Like I said, it was enjoyable. I didn't actually get to shoot it, but I got to do something fun. Our sisters
you dodged his shot, which was crazy tough.
Yeah,
everybody got to take their crack at it. So I think it was good overall. Like you said earlier, I even did that mea culpa at the very end of the recording. I was like, yeah, I think I probably could have smoothed over some of the exposition there, and probably could have just when earlier you guys were trying to gather background intel and check in with allies, because that can be important to get extra support. So you got some sisters novitiates to hang out with. But, I probably could have just told Loth, hey, all of these guys can be in one room, and you guys can all go in one room and talk to them, one at a time, fucking, Dragon Age style. Mm-hmm. They all stand in a room and wait for you to have dialogue with them, kind of a thing. And we could have streamlined that a little, because, the part of the exposition was the group, picked a team lead, broke up some stuff, and then just went Loth, good on him. I'm glad that he took the initiative, but Loth did just kind of go point to people in line and go, you go here, you go here, you go there, me and this guy will go here. And I'm glad Loth took the initiative and had the mind to do that run. But I'm definitely I probably could have told them that you guys could have simplified that into one scene technically. I feel like my like I said, my plots for while I am adjusting stats for some of the stuff I wrote earlier, my mission structures and my enemy stats, for some of these were definitely early on. I wasn't sure exactly how much bite you'd have, how much bark, And some of these, like I said, are there's a random table, so some of these are, very chaotic. Anything from like that was the explosives you found, were technically randomized. Those could have showed up anywhere. I think finding them in the first area, though, definitely made you guys a little more, suspicious and on edge, which was good. Kier got to crush a heretical radio with his possibly his bare robot hands. I think I remember Axe was debating whether it was easier to do it with his servo arm, which is just a giant clamp, or with his actual hands. He gave him the clamps. But no, the area you guys are going to next is the old mining tunnels that are supposed to be abandoned and shouldn't be as big as they are, but they're probably bigger than they look on the map.
I mean, I think I looked at the map and it's all they're in the fucking tunnels. They're in the fucking tunnels. They're in the fucking tunnels. But we're not gonna go to the tunnels. We gotta do other things.
Well, you will go into the tunnels eventually.
Eventually.
And that's probably where the next one is. But those are going to be a lot more close quarters stuff.
Yeah.
Where you guys will get to flex. But also, a little bit of space. I want to make sure, not just Sniperius, but, Aaron's a Devastating Marine, which tends to be more longer range. He did take his Heavy Bolter this time.
He did finish. Didn't he finish the? Yeah, he finished the enemy with his Heavy Bolter with the Metal Storm rounds.
Almost got you a little bit. Also, yeah, it's interesting. I didn't realize this, but apparently the one of the reasons for the errata and kind of the changes some of the stuff and why, for instance, the Heavy Bolter is no longer like ROF 10. Pre-errata, apparently Heavy Bolters were kind of the cheese. They're initiate rank only, and technically anybody can use them, even if you don't have the backpack. So, your whole team could take Heavy Bolters and just full auto every single enemy, because you're doing, like, a gajillion extra hits. So, the FFG kind of had to rethink some of their stats there, and I'm like, I can kind of see it. The Heavy Bolter's pretty good.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like they
should be pretty good.
They nerfed a lot of weapons with the errata versions. The errata versions aren't actually an errata. It's just they're made so you don't have to roll as many dice, which means you have less swingy hits. But they took off the full auto for quite a few weapons.
Yeah, it's a little odd. Some of them, I think it works out. Like, I mean, on the one hand, I've mentioned this before. On the one hand, with talents, I think that like the Stormbolter not being full auto is a little tricky. But definitely, like, with, like, Storm and possibly being twin-linked, like, you're putting off enough bullets for you to do more than many default full-auto weapons. Like, a Heavy Stubber is actually, like, rate of fire 10 for, like, 1d10 plus 4. You guys will actually... I think most of the Battle Brothers will actually walk through a Heavy Stubber, which is, 7.62 or 50 cal machine gun fire, like a gentle spring rain. Actually, have I told you that joke before, Lucky? It's not really a joke because of the miniatures, but, it is canonical that one of the patterns of heavy stubber is just an M2 Modus. Like they just used it as an illustration and they've used it as a model before, so everybody jokes that just the old M2 50 cal is just chilling in the year 40,000.
Design as old as time.
It works.
Good old 50 cal.
But yeah, like, some of those guns you guys will rip right through, but, like, definitely, like, the fact that you can't use talents which benefit from full auto is a little weird. It's interesting because, like, they kind of, some of the stuff they did in Black Crusade and Dark Heresy 2, they did go back on it. Like, when you guys actually get to see some, if NPCs roll them out, some Sisters of Battle weapons, like, the SOB version of the Stormbolter has its full auto back, but it's, like, S2-4 with Storm, so, like, it's not quite up to there, and we could probably just rule that the Astartes Stormbolter is S2-4. I think right now it's S4 because it was like S4-8 or something, or S4-6 originally. I'll double check. But like, four rounds in a full auto burst doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're like Storm doubling the hits, the possible hits, the ammo used, you could be fucking twin-linked, so you're getting like a plus 20 and doubling the ammo used and stuff. It's a lot of hits, gang. It's a lot of hits.
Oh, God. This is the thing that I do, like, semi-like doing after we do playing Death Watch, is going back. It's like, what can I have done better than discovering new rules that we could use and stuff? Like the fact that if you use a scatter at point blank, you get extra hits, and this is on top of, the hits that you might get for, like, semi-auto and full auto. And if you're using followed upon blank, you're already hitting the plus 60, so you're gonna hit a fucking lot, and I'm just like, oh, shotguns are scary.
Yeah, full auto shotguns are scary. I mean, they chew through guys. You gotta be careful, but I think the Astartes shotgun has pretty good damage on its scatter shells. There are, like, ways around it. You guys probably won't run into a lot of them, but the Deathwatch series has a number of suggested, like, horde traits. One of which is for, like, they straight up say it's for, like, zombies or hordes of undead or machines or something. It's called Relentless. It's just, like, they reduce the number of bonus hits they take from blast and fire by 1. Actually, no, it's the other way around. It's they only ever take 1 hit from ranged attacks, regardless of fire. It's a different one that gives them -1 for blast and fire. Because they're just like, they like just don't give a shit. However, relentless enemies cannot run or charge. They are literally the slow-ass zombie horde. Did my internet cut out again? My internet dropped again. I did not. No, okay. Sorry, I took a pauser there, and then I was just like, there was a slight silence, and I was just like, did I miss it drop? No, thank you.
Sorry, I was just thinking, but no. Deathwatch has a lot of rules and systems in there, and sometimes it's hard to get my head around them, and sometimes I don't learn things until later. Like, one of the things I learned is that even if you can still move, you can still shoot full auto and semi-auto and take a half move. You just lose penalties. Yeah, I mean you take penalties for doing it, which
it's so odd. I think the way, if I'm remembering the sections you dug up, are the way it works is like as part of the full auto or semi-auto action, because those are technically separate attack actions because they're full actions. You can also move your half move rate, and like you said, you take a penalty.
Yeah, so you can walk walk and
shoot
fire. And shoot and scoot. It's just I feel like Deathwatch does not put everything in an easy to understand format. Like you have to jump around a bit.
No, I've talked about this before, but basically there's 5 total game lines that FFG did, and then they started a second edition to Dark Heresy and got some good books out for. The indie games are not even that organized well, but there's stuff about clearance of information, right? Which FFG is not always great at. Looking at you digging up Star Wars and Genesis rules back in the day, trying to remember all these fucking options. But yeah, Deathwatch is in kind of an awkward space where the release order goes Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader, Deathwatch. Oh, and then I think it was Black Crusade.
Which one's Black
Crusade? And then it was Only Way. Black Crusade's the Chaos one.
Chaos, okay.
And then Only War is Imperial Guard. And then they did a second edition of Dark Heresy. So, every time they did, they would update the game line slightly, they would add new rules, they would add new applications for rules, they would change the skill list slightly, with new shit and changing things around. Deathwatch was their last version of the game where you had an explicit, advancement table. The way Only War and Black Crusade work is, I think I've mentioned this before, is basically you get certain, what would be the right way to say it? Aptitudes, which can be linked to, your stats, but also linked to just general concepts Only War has stuff like offense, defense, fieldcraft, whereas, for Black Crusade, it's just, each of the, the different chaos gods, sorcery as a general, aptitude, stuff like that. And basically, if you have, one aptitude in common, it reduces the cost of a talent or a stat advance. If you have, 2 aptitudes, it reduces it by a lot. So, that's how you get your, 100-point skills and shit. So, they made it so that you don't need, a hard and fast table to advance, but also means that you gotta, look and double-check all your different little aptitudes and shit a lot. Makes for more for your characters, but also means that, you get a little more... Not necessarily generic, but, you get... I feel like you get a lot more streamlined in certain areas, which may or may not be a good thing. I will say, I really like... Only War, they did a great thing of, super simplifying down the skill list. The Deathwatch is the last game before they did that, I think. Though they may have done it in Black Crusade as well. But the skill list in Deathwatch and Rogue Trader and Dark Heresy is old school D&D 3.5 type shit. Climbing, running, and swimming are all separate skills.
Yeah.
As is acrobatics and dodging. Stealth is split between silent move, concealment, and shadowing, which are all agility. Also, I think you might technically count sleight of hand in there. That's another thing. Not that you guys would be doing that, but there's some messy skill lists. So in Only War, it's stealth. Here's what you can do with stealth: move silently, conceal yourself, shadow people, etc. Athletics is one skill, so it's compacted down. I wouldn't mind taking a crack at running Deathwatch that way, but it would require a little bit of house ruling because your stat advances and starting skills are organized by the old way.
It can take some work, but we probably won't worry about it this time. Like I said, we're only playing Deathwatch as kind of a break between Reign and stuff. And while I am very excited to play Deathwatch, I am, I don't want other games to get necessarily old. I did have a joke though about the sleight of hand. You saying, Space Marine's not doing sleight of hand. It's only if my sleight of hand is me backhanding a commissar for talking back to me or something. I'm still waiting to do that.
The sleight of hand. My sleight of hand is I insert this knife into your spine.
I've already thought of a line. I'm going to backhand a commissar, and 2 minutes they're like, "My lord, what was that for?" And Tiberius is just going to say, "There was a bug buzzing about me. I squished it." I think a lot about like in a lot of tabletop. I'd like to think a lot about like scenarios and what I would do and what I would say. I know we're not supposed to be getting like, yes, Robin with the great line, sleight of hand, more like hand of sleight.
It's a good one.
Yeah, but we did talk about how we weren't going to be so roleplay focused in Death Watch, as you know we've been getting a lot of that in Rain. But there's still opportunities. I'm like, yes, I want to have like scenes and say things and have moments. It's just not as pressing as it is in other things. Especially playing a raptor who is taciturn. Yeah, unfortunately for this kill team, we got two characters that are taciturn.
But one's like taciturn. I forget what the exact name of the raptor's chapter demeanor is.
Pragmatic.
It is pragmatic. Okay, yeah. So you're taciturn. It's like a fucking D&D alignment square. You're taciturn pragmatic. The other guy's taciturn zealous because he's the Black Templar. They're very different taciturn vibes. But we're having about our funny haha times. We'll get into some stuff. Like I said, I think the other characters are mostly into like you said, kind of like scenes, moments, that kind of a thing, which I hope we can hit, and I hope can shovel out enough renown XP that you guys can try some things. Like I know Aaron's talked about how like he wants to earn like the Crux Terminatus and be like, can I get some Terminator armor? And I'm like double checking the requirements, famed, and I'm just like, to see if I can come up with a mission reason you can just be assigned Terminator armor. Yeah, you can get it a little easier, but it's still like, damn. I was talking about getting his Artificer armor, which is, the thing. It's a Tech Marine thing, so it makes sense. But, like, definitely, like, some of these, like we said earlier, some of these are a little steep. I am glad I started you a little early, and I'm trying to maximize the amounts. I might even come up with ways to juice it up even further. I will say, actually, that reminds me, because we were talking about having your helmet off. In addition to the Fellowship bonus, I should also remind all of you, you get a bonus renown if you complete complete missions or objectives with your helmet off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Like, it's not just the Fellowship bonus. It's also supposed to be, like, a little extra renown. Obviously, that means you gotta have your fucking noggin hanging out, which is a little bit of a shame because you guys have good noggins. The helmets are good.
Well, if you take off the helmet, you lose stuff like, auto senses, and your suit is no longer sealed, and, people have to look at my face. I've been fighting myself back and forth if I want to make Sniperius more sociably apt.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to people, but also I don't want to talk to people. I don't think so. I know it's not like, I don't think, does anyone have a fellowship above 45? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I think it's just you and him.
No, I think Aaron and Dallas's character might have 45.
That might be like 40? I don't think it was his dump stat, but I don't think it was his max stat either. I should double check.
Maybe Dallas was 40.
Yeah, it's jump checking. The helmetless mode for as described in Rites of Battle. You lose your helmet auto senses and stuff, and you don't get your armor's not airtight, and you lose your armor benefit because it's 0. Your Vox works, but only audio, because I guess you've got something in like the Gorget. But you get +5 to Fellowship tests. You get +5 to all tests to prevent cohesion damage, which can be important. And at GM discretion, you may gain +1 renown whenever you're awarded renown. So like you guys can consider that as an option. It is true that there's a lot of stuff that doesn't smell nice, but that's why you guys are extra toughness, and specifically double extra toughness against, gaseous attacks because of your Giga Lungs. They're not called Giga Lungs, but some of the names for Space Marine organs are out there. Hey guys, be sure to tune into our Brand has heightened sense of smell because he's a space wolf. But be sure to tune into the 3rd episode of Death Watch out now because we get to check out the what is it, the omophagia gland. And Sniperius eats a bit of a guy to learn things. Because, in case you forgot, Space Marines can do that.
Space Marines can spit fucking acid. Again, what were these people thinking when they made these?
Well, it was it was either the 80s or the 90s when they actually came with the list of Space Marine upgrades. So it was probably just they were thinking, like, it was cool. I think the idea that Big E had was supposed to be that, they are supposed to be, I did, paraphrase his speech from the beginning. He is, like, you were supposed to be armed with all the best tech, all the best, equipment, and also just, like, be, immune to normal disease and the weaknesses of the flesh kind of a thing, give you better tools. It's also, the Belcher's gland is not just that you can spit acid short ranges, which I've heard come up a couple of times. The main thing is also that, like, if Space Marines, if they get, like, in manacles or in prison, you guys can, like, eat inorganic matter slowly. So, like, if they were ever, like, naked and in prison, they could just, slowly eat the bars kind of a thing. Which is, like, cool, except that, like, as we've discovered in the 41st millennium, nobody ever goes to prison. But, maybe it'll come up. It's weird. Like, some of the stuff makes a lot of sense. Like, the extra vision, the, like, third kidney thing, like, just better liver, kidney function, better lungs, shit like that. That's good. That's great. Sharper senses. The backup heart 2. But some of the other stuff is wacky wild. Catalpsian node. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's the no penalties perception tests when awake for long periods of time. Not that I would ever know that that's a thing that comes up, but like that's good that you guys don't get space tired. Just enter suspended animation. I wonder what the Laraman organ's actually supposed to do. It says, you ignore the penalties for blood loss. What does that just mean? You just have super clotting blood? Super blood clots? God, sorry, I'm just looking at it. I know it's because it's acid, but fucking 1d5 pen 4. That's better than most bullets. Most guns are like pen 1, if any, or pen 0. They're all using flat bullets. No, I know. They're using d10s and d5s. That makes sense. It's just like, the pen 4 is the part that's sending me. But yeah, the toxic is just you do bonus damage. But yeah, Deathwatch, it's cool. Listen to episode 3 now. Yeah. Any other... Sorry, I have to stop myself from saying Deathwatch. That's if you talk to orcs. No, there's no T in that. That's definitely Deathwatch. Oh, I did find out, by the way, what, because I was wondering in the first mission, this will be very funny to Sniperius. Orcs apparently, at least used to be in the habit of calling Space Marines beakies. Beakies. Because they, orcs remember when they had the Corvus pattern helmets.
Okay. That's me. I'm beaky.
Oh, this one, yeah, he's more beaky than the other one. He's some kind of, like, boss beaky. Beaky boss? Beak knob. And then Sniperius, domes them from 1,000 miles away. Bullseye from 1,000 yards. Okay, but if we don't have anything to lock 'em, clock 'em on Deathwatch, it's a shorter episode, but we got a late start. We can probably wind it down.
Yeah, we can wind it down.
All right. Well, then, it's the show Wind Down, like I said. We got a shorter, sweeter one for you today. I'm sure we'll have even more heckin' to hit you up with. If you've watched this far, though, be sure to give the video a like, leave your comments down below, hit us up on Discord, make sure you're subbed. That really helps us out. I winked again. Consider ringing the bell for notifications, consider joining channel memberships, and consider supporting us on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to audio drops of all of our content, including the podcast and our APs. And at higher levels, you can get access to polls and stuff. And also get to listen to the show live. And at your highest level, you get a shout-out like Adam Hart, Blackster G, Call Me Zed, Carlos Dragon, JDV9000, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, and Sharvor. Thank you very much for your support. Patrons, be sure to check us out later. Obviously, we got, Let's Talk FGO probably happening next week. So whatever JP's doing. I mean, we'll have more Mahoyo news at least, and we'll see if they stack up anything else out there. You never know. And stay tuned for our regularly scheduled streams. Monday, Okami. We're going to Oni Island.
Yay.
Tuesday, Fail Portrayal. I think it's Resonators, but don't quote me on that. Fail Portrayal is like my pure tyranny project. I can change it on a whim. God knows if I could get like 4 people to show up, I could do a cube. Wednesday, more Final Fantasy 14. We might get blown up, or we might not. I need more tombstones. Not only do I need to buy more relics, but also I gotta buy these fucking framers kits, which are tombstones. That's fine. Final Fantasy 14 is cool. But I think that is everything. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Had to fight really hard not to do a Mickey Mouse sound.